Hello everyone, this is Javamonk, and welcome to episode 95 of the Survival Series. Let's start this episode off with some poetry. And in fact, this episode, since we are in the countdown to episode 100, and which is the finale of the series, we are now basically at the midpoint of that countdown. So, I'm thinking this episode should be a little more relaxed than the previous 4 episodes. Most of these episodes have actually been rather relaxed lately. But today we're going to be doing some small projects, mainly moving villagers, which is actually not a very small project, but either way, we have the systems. We're not actually going to be building anything. We're just going to be using those systems, because I haven't showcased them in a while. Anyway, our haiku for this episode is counting syllables, but they limit your poem, hence now the ending. Okay, that haiku almost made sense. And then the limerick is, I'd rather have fingers than toes, with noxious smells in my nose. He bought for his daughter and started to cry. It almost made sense, but then didn't. Okay. So that is a limerick and haiku for this episode, and now on with the project. So the first stage of moving villagers. Well, actually that first stage has already been complete. And that is disabling the villager breeder and putting all the villagers into this glass cell right here. So this minecart track coming from this dispenser is then going to automatically eject the villagers, which will then go down this water stream, and when they step in this pressure plate, they will be shoved into this flying machine and also count up so that the flying machine will automatically be sent off. Although, I have a hunch I'm going to have to manually set off the flying machine. So anyways, and the reason why the villagers are able to stay in this flying machine while the others are being loaded in is because of that carpet. So, I have no idea how much of this machine still works in 1.14. I'm hoping all of it, but I don't know. I just don't know. Okay, so let's just drop all these minecarts into these hoppers and into this dispenser. It's not a dropper, it's a dispenser. Okay, and then send off the first minecart, which essentially activates the whole machine. So that minecart's going to go all the way down, pick up a villager, and go all the way back up. And we can see it in progress. There we go. There's the villager. So, looks like minecarts picking up villagers through corners still works. Minecarts being broken by cacti still works. And now for the actual test of have villager mechanics changed so much that they no longer fit in the flying machine. Okay. It seems to have worked. Redstone is a bit slow, but okay. Looks like carpets are no longer enough to stop the villager from escaping. Ah, crap. Okay. Well, in that case, I'm gonna need to block him with extra blocks. Good thing I have my emergency ender chest. There we go. So he won't try to escape. Or at least, if he does try to escape, he won't succeed. And he's trying to escape. Okay, hopefully they both get shoved into the machine. There we go. And block off the path. There we go. Hopefully the villagers can still be loaded into the machine. So, they should not be able to move. And eventually the machine's going to be set off. I'm going to have to manually set it off, I have a hunch. And then we can watch them as they fly up to Villager Island. This will be glorious. Okay, it's time to launch the machine. All the villagers are now in the flying machine, so now let's set it off. There we go. Of course that wouldn't work. I need to remove these gold blocks first. And apparently make all the villagers spill out. Okay, update the machine before all of them go away. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? Let's set off the flying machine before all the villagers escape. Panicking. There we go. Crap. I'm just gonna do my me, just stealing a gold block. Go. Whew, okay. There goes the flying machine. That was stressful. Okay. I broke this mechanism. Everything's broken. Yay. And there's 2 villagers who stay behind. Of course. Because apparently this flying machine still can't... This flying machine's so imperfect that it leaves villagers behind. And it also seems incredibly slow. How many villagers actually did stay behind? Okay, we got 3. 4. Okay, those are manageable. As long as the majority of them get up to the actual Sky Island, it's all fine. From the camera account, the villagers are now coming in to dock. Okay. Any villagers that fall out of the machine now are pretty much just gonna die. So, here we go. All of the villagers are now gonna be pushed into this cell over here, where I can then use minecarts to essentially go over here and sort them out. Now, this worked in 1.13 because villagers came pre-made with various professions, but now since they're all either unemployed or nitwits, they're all gonna go in the same cell, which they're both eventually gonna go to the Sky Village. So really this is the last use of this whole machine. And this entire mechanism. And there goes the flying machine. Going right back, and apparently carrying a villager with it. In the style of the Willy Wonka elevator. So here's how the sorting mechanism works. I press a button, and it's going to essentially send in a villager to be judged and chosen. So the decision here is whether or not to let this villager into the villager trading hall, which is on top of the island. So for example, in 1.13, you'd have things like clerics and butchers and nitwits. So this guy's unemployed, and he's just going to go into the cell that's going to lead to the Sky Village. So, no. No, he does not get to go to into the villager trading hall. So, off he goes, and he's eventually going to go to that cell. And so while that guy's traveling off, I can request a new villager. So, it's a somewhat efficient system. I mean, it's not exactly the fastest in the world, but you know what? This is the final use of this whole contraption. So, I'm also going to be emptying out the villager trading hall because most of it is also deactivated. Welcome to the villager trading hall. This place is a custom-designed, tileable, 2-wide villager trading hall that works entirely off of minecarts. So, essentially the villager is being put in very quickly and also being removed very quickly. So, let's see. Some of these can just... And I'm just going to push these buttons to essentially send these villagers out of the villager trading hall. It doesn't really matter what traits they had, because I don't remember what they had. Although, it seems some of these villagers actually kept their professions. So, I'll keep the ones that retain their professions, like this cartographer, but everybody else, I think, should... And also, if there was a sign in front, then I'll just make sure that they had the... Well, I'll keep them in the villager trading hall. I don't need a villager trading hall this large anyway. This was mainly for show. So, off they go. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss novel. Okay. So, all of those villagers are eventually gonna make it over to here, where they will go... maybe not like that? Yeah, that is a horrible idea. Oh boy. So here's a rundown of these cells here. So this set of 2 cells can store up to 60 villagers, and because the max entity cramming game rule on this world is set to 30, and essentially these are villagers that were initially rejected. They were brought up from the flying machine, but they were rejected from the villager trading hall. So this button will release every single one of them into the place where I get to choose where they go. And also, this set of 2 cells is a collection of all the villagers that were essentially removed from the villager trading hall after they were put in. So they also get their own button to release them all into the choosing cell. So right now I actually set the max entity game rule to... Let's check and make sure that what the max entity cramming game rule is. 0. Good, because I don't want to suffocate any of these villagers. Let's release every single one of those 50-some villagers all at once into the choosing cell. And then I can show you what goes on from there. In fact, the choosing cell is right over here. Okay, here are all of the villagers, right here. And let's see. 45 villagers. That's a lot of villagers. And there seems to be more trickling in. I'm just gonna wait for them all to trickle in, and then I'm gonna choose. Okay, quick correction. There are actually 54 villagers or 55 villagers in this cell. So now I'm just gonna pull this lever and send them all to the plastic island. Not the plastic island, the Sky Village. So all of them will now be going down that water stream, and they will end up at this flying machine, which will then basically push them along this glass highway all the way over to the Christmas landing pad at the Sky Village, which will be their final destination before they can move on with their lives. And we can move on with our lives. Because, remember, this is part of the massive attempt to remove the majority of the lag from the mansion. And from this view, looking top down from the mansion, this is actually working. Our attempts from last episode and this episode, look, 10 FPS. Alright. Also, the lagometer to the right here with the big red spikes, they are not as big or spiky or scary as they were previously. These spikes, I don't know what they mean, but I'm pretty sure they're lower than they were before. So, boom. Our attempts were a success. So here's the point where possibly a zillion villagers are all just gonna explode all over the place. And that is when I pull this lever. And here comes the flying machine. Oh, come on. Really? Alright, the flying machine's still at least gonna shove them over. And plus, this area is not a valid village, so I'm just gonna... I suppose I can just kill all these villagers? The ones that misbehave? Alright, we have a bunch of villagers now on the Christmas landing pad at the Sky Village, which is now a fully functional village since it has beds, like here, and workstations for various villagers. So eventually they're gonna wander away from this Christmas pad and they're gonna walk along these paths, discover the fact that there's beds here, find out the different workstations, and it'll be a fully functional village. Alright, Sky Village is now populated, so let's now populate the Plastic Island. Plastic Island was built during episode 42, and this is it. Although it seems none of the villagers actually survived the... So, when I updated to 1.14, a whole bunch of villagers just disappeared completely, never to be seen again. And it seems none of the villagers that I initially brought here actually survived from that disappearance. But Mr. Evoker did. So, let's get some new villagers in here. This batch of villagers that initially came from the villager trading hall is now going to be sent off to Plastic Island. And once they all figure out the fact that they're supposed to go into this flying machine, that's when I'm going to press this button and send them off. As the sun rises in the east, I'm standing on top of the villager trading hall, a place that used to be the lag empire of this world. But now, I can look down without my computer hating me for the rest of its existence. This place is now actually playable. I can look around. I'm getting 20 in FPS in over 10. I mean, I don't exactly have the highest end computer in the world, but this is insane. This is the most incredible thing in the world. I look straight downwards, I'm still getting 10 FPS. I mean, that is just incredible. So, all of our efforts from the previous 2 episodes of moving the villagers out, disabling the animal farms, or at least seriously knocking them down. Looks like we still got some villagers hanging around. It looks like all of those efforts have been they have worked. So the lag is now gone, mostly. But this lag is manageable. This is actually playable, in my books at least. So I think we should celebrate with a poetry slam. For those of you that don't know, you're about to witness a whole bunch of messed up poetry. Like, not messed up as in it's like cringy topics, but messed up as in you get things like this as a limerick, which is actually bits and pieces of different limericks that were all mashed together. And essentially what this poetry machine does is it basically generates. I essentially took enough limericks and haikus to last to episode 100, and put them into these droppers. Every single time I press that button, I get a random limerick and haiku, which is actually random bits and pieces from different limericks and haikus. So some of them are famous, some of them not so famous. So for example, the haiku. So for example, you have the where is it? There was a young man from Cork who got limericks and haikus confused. The and haikus confused is somewhere in here. Or maybe it hasn't been generated yet. But anyway, that haiku is actually been split up into 3 different pieces, so that each piece comes with a separate haiku. So essentially it generates a new poem out of bits and pieces of other poems. Same with the limericks. So here we go. Time for some chaos. Although this is not the chaos special.
Can I help?
Dude, quit scaring me like that.
I'm saying, I heard a poetry slam coming around. Can I help?
What do you want to do?
You read the limericks, I'll read the haikus.
That sounds good. Okay, should I start with the episode 81 limerick? The first one that was ever generated?
Yes, go for it.
Alright, here we go. There once was a fly on the wall, except when he takes a dip. He said with a sigh, he won't let you down, and now the thing is too small. Dude, what was that for?
It's a poetry slam, right? Somebody's gotta provide the slam.
Okay. Got it. Okay, now you read your haiku.
How much can I fit in a haiku factory? See me before they... There we go. Now that's a poetry slam.
There once was a man from Purdue who dreamt he was eating his shoe. Blank said I haven't a clue. Blank. Alright, future Javamonk, your haiku next.
There was a young man, but sometimes they don't make sense. Oh no, I'm out of...
Alright. There once was a senior of old, and reminds me of a sinking ship. When he jumps in the pool, he looks like a fool who they broke away from the fold.
Five syllables here, in a haiku, so it's hard. This is the last line.
A crossword compiler named Moss, who found himself quite at a loss, and carefully lopped it, he woke in the night, in a word you've been limerick rolled.
Help me, I'm trapped. Has to be 575. Is very difficult.
A painter who lived in Great Britain, I'd rather have ears than a nose. A can, blank, and yelled, I don't have a clue. This is so silly. I mean, you slapping me like that every time we read poems.
Well, that's what a poetry slam is. Haikus are funny. There is a bot for haikus, and haikus confused.
A canner exceedingly canny. What a shock to find out you have a twin. I'm glad it's all there when he carries a pole. The replacement I bought was too tall. Sorry, future Javamonk. I got Discord messages going on.
Haikus for horses? Into a haiku format? That's ridiculous.
I'm really determined and keen. Whose Limerick stopped at line 2. He won't give you up anything that he can. Or does gravity miss things so small?
Writing a poem? 17 is not enough. Who came up with this?
I know an old owl named Boo. When traveling he made such a fuss. That park bench will lie. I'm too down to put one across.
I would be careful. From Quirk who got limericks. Are you happy now?
I sure hope you're happy now. Limericks I cannot compose. Every night he yelled who. 2 owls and a hen. Yes, I'll do today. I'll be awfully sad when it goes.
Ask for opinions. So much out there to explore. Pointless, wouldn't you say?
Alright, we're on to the second set of haikus and limericks. The ones on the chests above there.
Sweet. These are the most recent ones, right?
Exactly. Alright, here we go. You in position to just give me a good slap after I finish the haikus? I mean the limericks?
Yup.
There was a young lady of quirk who said it is just as I feared. Once a kid walked by, a tutor who taught her just painted it right where you're sitting.
Let's speak only in... Are you serious? No way. Refrigerator.
There was an old man with a beard. One morning remarked to his granny, "But this one was easy. I only felt queasy because I was sniffing my toes."
I'm new to this whole... Brevity is thy essence. Just do what you want.
My dog is quite hip. Who had such a terrible stutter? I will do it, I say, with a terrible fright. But I can't, can he?
I think haikus suck. In 17 syllables. 18 would be good.
There was an odd fellow named Gus to start giving this house a spring clean. Because its feet stuck, and found it was perfectly true.
Space is limited. This is still a haiku, and... that floats around here.
I know a young fellow named Vin, whose pa made a fortune in pork. He was banned from the train, or was it just luck? Have all built their nest in my beard.
Haiku! Gesundheit. Haikus for the entire day. To finish what you...
And actually this episode's limerick, which we're still gonna read out. I'd rather have fingers than toes, with noxious smells in my nose. He bought for his daughter and started to cry.
Last haiku. Counting syllables, but they limit your poem, hence now the ending. And in fact, that's also the ending of this poetry slam, right?
Yeah?
Sweet. Poetry slam's done?
Indeed.
So, I guess, super slam?
Super slam it is. Like, you thinking with a sword?
I'm thinking with the Trident.
Okay.
Sword versus Trident. You ready for this?
Sure. Thwack. Thwack. How How are you still alive? Like, usually 5 hits with the sword like this is more than enough to kill people. At least mobs. You're a player, right?
Yes, I am. Nice try. Now feel the wrath of the pitchfork slash trident. Assuming I can throw it. Yeah, whatever. Haha, I win.
Good game. Okay, I don't know how you did that, but I guess you are the Minecraft equivalent of One Punch Man.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I can defeat him with this trident.
No, you can't. You're just bragging, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Please don't let this turn into episode 75 where you kill me over and over again.
Why would I do that? Here, have your tools back. There you go. All better?
Yes, much better. Thank you. Okay, let's just put the crossbow back, put on the elytra before I jump off the sky island. So, thank you, future Javamonk, for joining me in the poetry slam.
No problem.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please let me know. So over the last couple episodes, I do hope you enjoyed that poetry slam, by the way. That was quite a bit of coordination with future Javamonk there. So in the last 2 episodes, most of the lag from the mansion has disappeared. Either by deactivating the animal farms, killing most of the animals, moving villagers around. So now I can sweep my camera from side to side, and it looks less of a slideshow. I'm getting an FPS above 5 no matter how much I shake my camera around. So, I mean, yeah, it's not great, but you know what? It is playable. It's not in the 1s and 2s. I have an arrow in my eye. That is very uncomfortable. So, thank you for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please let me know, and I'll see you next video.